want to leave, that's fine.
Uncooperative at this point.
That's fine, bro.
Yeah, you're being completely
I'm just asking for definitions of words.
No, you're not. You're being completely uncooperative with my questions. Now, I've given you an operational definition where the word
supreme
God
equals
means,
what?
Okay, why are you interrupting me again?
Because you're going to say supreme being, that is the creator of all things, right?
You're purposely being obstructionistic so you don't have to answer the question. I know exactly what you're doing here because I have atheists doing it all the time.
Why can't you answer my very simple question?
God, you know what? I'm going to ignore you while you overtalk me. Okay? Now, I've already defined God.
Okay, so what does supreme mean?
You know what? You know what? If you continue to interrupt me, I'll just leave. Because what you're trying to do
can leave if you want.
is an obstructionist tactic.
It's fine.
Now, I've already given you an operational definition of God, and you are nitpicking. You're being anal retentive over the definition. I've already defined God clearly. God is that which is the singular, concrete ground of all being, and is categorized or constitutive of being supreme and ultimate, in that all things derive and depend on it. Now, there's the operational definition. It's not complicated. Now, you either have a positive belief that does not exist, or you suspend judgment. So which is it? This is the seventh time
Given that definition, I would like to investigate it more. Is that not fair?
Sir, I'm asking, do you have a positive belief that God, as I have defined it,
considering this definition is idiosyncratic to you,
okay, yeah, sir, I'm really
it's going to take some investigation into that definition if you want me to actually come to a conclusion.
No, I'm ignoring you.
Okay, so you don't want to have a conversation?
No,
okay, so you said a singular concrete grounding of all being. You said that God is a singular concrete grounding of all being, constitutive of being ultimate and supreme in that all things depend on him.
You're just ignoring me right now.
No, I'm going over your definition.
Are you autistic? Are you autistic?
Gary, chill.
Are you autistic?
You're acting like a child.
Autistic.
Chill, okay?
No, because you're ignoring me right now.
I'm literally trying to engage with the definition you just gave, Gary.
I've given you a definition of God.
Gary,
I've given you a
I'm trying to engage with the definition you just gave, Gary.
Definition of God. I've given you a definition of God. I'm asking you to answer the question. Do you believe that exists, or do you suspend judgment? Now, that's the 8th time I've asked you.
I'm not sure what it means, so it would be irresponsible to give a position. That's what I've been asking you to do.
Okay?
That's what I've been asking you to do, and you refuse to do so.
Do you understand in metaphysics the term ground of all being? You understand that?
Yeah, roughly.
Okay, good. So I'm presenting to you an operational definition, which I've explained several times already. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to obfuscate and evade answering the question whether you have a positive belief or not by playing definitional games. Now, I've defined it a number of times to you. Now, either you believe that God is the supreme being and the creator of all things that are not himself as a mind, either you positively believe that does not exist, or you're suspending judgment. Now, this is the 9th time I've asked you the question.
I don't think you can count. It's the 5th time, but I'm still requiring...
multiple times. Are you going to answer the question?
Yeah, you asked me 5 times, not 9 times.
Are you going to answer the question?
Yeah, so if your position is just a supreme being, which I'm still not quite sure what you mean by supreme...
I'm asking you to
some
answer
sort of...
which one you believe.
Sorry, your definition.
You're prevaricating.
The definition that you're using.
Do you know what prevaricating is, Mr. PhD?
Gary.
Do you know what prevaricating is?
Do you want me to answer your question or not?
Do you know what prevaricating is?
No, define prevaricating for me.
I will ask you.
I don't know that word.
Do you have a positive belief that God does?
Do you want me to answer your question?
Or do you suspend judgment?
Gary, do you want me to answer your question?
I want you to answer my question.
Then stop talking, okay? Okay, so your definition, it sounds like your definition of God is something like some sort of supreme being, which I presume that means something like all-powerful, something like that, that is the ground of all being and has a mind. Now, if this mind, in some sense, exists outside of space and time, yeah, I would say that I don't believe that exists. You can unmute yourself now. I don't know if he knows how.
Oh, so you're going to mute my microphone?
Well, I muted you so that I could answer your question.
Yeah, no, you're not answering. The whole time you've been
I literally just answered your question. Did you listen to me?
And you keep on over-talking me. This is a stalling, dodging tactic.
Gary, I gave you an answer. Did you not hear me?
Is it? I'm asking you for clarification. Is it your position that you have a positive belief that God, as defined, does not exist, or do you suspend judgment?
if God is defined as a supreme mind, that, if it's the ground of all being, whatever, I don't care, is if that God exists outside of space and time, then yes, I do not think that exists.
Okay, why was it so difficult? Why did we waste all of this time when you could have answered that 10 minutes ago?
Well, because you didn't actually give me any information about where this mind exists or that it's a mind at all.
Now you're lying. Now you're lying. I gave you.
Have you mentioned space or time whatsoever?
In the beginning.
Gary.
In the beginning,
Gary,
I gave you a definition.
have you mentioned space or time at all?
Rude to me? You know what? I'm not going to.
Gary, I'm sorry. You're the one who's asked if I'm autistic.
No,
so,
sir.
Gary, I don't think that. Gary, this isn't your live. You don't get to interrupt people, and you don't get to call people autistic, okay? We can have a normal conversation. We can keep it at like normal volumes, and we can be reasonable, or we can yell over each other, and I'll just keep muting you whenever I want to respond. Okay?
What you're doing is you're obfuscating and you're prevaricating. That's why I'm.
I'm not doing that. I answered your question.
You are prevaricating now. Why?
Okay. Now, do you want to respond to my contention?
No. Okay, sir. Listen to me. So
no, you don't want to respond.
All these many minutes. Now you have a positive belief that God is defined does not exist. Am I clear?
If that God has a mind and exists outside of space and time, then yes, I would say that is a belief that I hold.
So why?
I think that having a mind is
definition
contradictory with existing outside of time.
Well, you're not even listening. When I gave the operational,
well, you didn't let me answer, so
Yeah, and so you just continue to interrupt. Now, can you tell me why God doesn't exist?
Yeah, so the reason why I think that there's an inherent contradiction in a mind existing outside of time is because my understanding of what a mind is something that entertains thoughts, and it seems like thoughts are transitional states, transitionary or transitions between mental states, and transitions seem to require at least some notion of time. And so if something exists outside of time, I can't imagine how you can have a transition between states.
God as a mind wouldn't have to have transitional states. He could just have
so no thoughts then.
Okay, why are you interrupting me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so that's not. See, what you're doing is you're taking from your uniform experience, and then you're applying it universally, and say, oh, then it can't apply uniformly because of what your experience is. So, for example, God as a mind, he could have in one thought the truth value of all propositions in one complete thought. It wouldn't have to be transitional. So the fact of the matter is, what you just said does not falsify that there's a mind of God. Do you know who William Lane Craig is?
No, I do know who William Lane Craig is. No, I think that there's an issue with that.
Philosopher. Are you going to let me finish? Okay, so
I want to address what you just said.
On what basis can you make any universal declaration that's an absolute? You just made an absolute statement, okay, about the nature.
Well, no, I didn't. I said I think, but you could just throw words in my mouth if you want.
What you asserted about the
more
nature
precisely,
of minds absolute is
Gary,
what you asserted about minds.
Gary,
if you're going to continue to be rude,
Gary,
I'll just leave.
You're
going to continue to.
So, Gary, the issue about if God has a static mind, i.e. completely unchanging, then it seems impossible for God to actually take actions, which is kind of a problem, right? How does God create the universe if God doesn't have a changing mental state? How does God go from mental state?
You're going to mute me again. You're ignoring what I'm saying to you.
I am. How does God go from the mental state of existing, having not created the universe, to existing and having created the universe? That seems like a transition that requires time.
If you mute me again, you're not talking.
Well,
you're talking past me. You are not having.
I'm trying to talk to you, but you keep interrupting me. So.
No, you are lying.
Then stop interrupting me.
No, you are lying right now. You are not having a conversation with me.
If you stop interrupting me, then we can have a conversation.
Okay, you know what? I'm done with you. You are not a good.
Bye, Gary.
Yeah, you are deceitful and you are prevaricating.
Bye.
Okay? You're just playing little definitional games.
Bye. What a baby. If you ever want to come back on, Gary, you're welcome to. But I'm not gonna let you bulldoze like you do in your lives.